Hello, everyone, and welcome to Throwdown, episode 73. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Money, they say, is the root of evil today.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
And Mr. Brett Murdock.
Can we start making Manny go last on these things?
Why? Because he always comes up with the best stuff, doesn't he?
Because he's always singing and bringing a voice in, and then Chris are like, hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Chris is like, yo, I got nothing, man. I got nothing.
I can't sing shit.
By the way, I can't hit those notes. Sorry.
Money. All right. Before we start, I got a couple of shout-outs to give. Shout out to Earthbender Charlie and Hated Greatness for being on last week and giving us a very fiery show.
Yes. Yo man, those guys should have a show.
Yes.
People might actually listen to that.
Yeah, I mean, that was on purpose. Because when we had Charlie, I'm like, I need to get Mike on here to get a little bit of the Minority Show from back in the day, So everybody liked that episode. It was crazy stuff. But
yes, I'll give him this.
Yeah.
that was literally the impromptu Minority Show reunion.
Basically, and that's one of those shows that makes my life as a host easy. It's just go. I don't have to do shit. Kind of like with Brett. It's like here's some dynamite. Go.
Here's the thing. I think you just know what things will set people off, and you just kind of go. You just throw it at them.
As a Dominican, I am a natural instigator, so I'm pretty good with that. Oh man! So yeah, shout out to those guys, and shout out to my man Broken Games AG, who we had a couple on a couple weeks ago. I was on the Gaming Assembly podcast, episode 3, and I also met these other two cool dudes, 3MG Live, who's from New York, which is cool, and this other guy, Kev Plays Games, both really cool dudes, and then obviously Mike Mullis and our boy John Phipps were on there. A lot of fun stuff. We had a little bit of a snafu with with Google Plus just being stupid as always. So it's a 2-part episode, but that didn't seem to affect it. I'm always amazed by how many hits this dude gets, man, because he has like 1 million subscribers. So it's like one episode gets like more than any of our episodes combined, So it's pretty cool, getting the word of Throwdown out there, And the last thing, I hope you guys are, looking at Manny's, little setup there very carefully. It's the last time you're going to see it like that. My man is leaving New York.
Yes, these
Where you
vagabond
going,
shoes. Yeah, I'm heading down to Pennsylvania. New York is as the man said, the rent in New York is too damn high. So I'm moving down to Pennsylvania's. Gonna have an office again. My girlfriend gonna have a nice little office and set up and stuff. So should be good. But
Cool.
I think it's only about 2 hours away from New York. So far, I still have family in New York, and I still, I'll still probably be around quite a bit. Me and after I think at the end of March, I think we have a show to go to.
Yeah, we got Iron Maiden, man.
Yeah,
so we'll be seeing each other, But yeah, you're like, the rent is too damn high. See, I'm of the opposite. I'm like, I'm going to try to just make enough money to keep living in New York. I'm not going anywhere. New York is the shit.
Yeah, the only thing is, like, especially, everyone would love to think, you might think that being that I work in comics and animation that I'd be making millions and millions of dollars.
That ain't how it is, bro.
No, you really don't. And especially, even if one thing kind of messes up, you end up in the poorhouse. So, granted, I have jobs right now. I'm still waiting for them to pay. So, I just want to have a better, a better quality of living. I mean, that's exactly the reason why Chris left, where you can actually have more for your money, as opposed to, because imagine if you were making New York money out in the sticks somewhere, you own a house. The rent that we pay in New York City is somebody's mortgage in some other state in the United States, which is sucky.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's pretty wild, man. I mean, Chris, don't you have like a house and garages and shit?
Yeah, I'm paying less rent than I was over in Bayside, and I have a way bigger place down here in Austin. And I have a garage. I have a 2-car garage. I only have 1 car. So I have just storage. I run
Yeah.
around it sometimes. The garage is the size of my old apartment. I'll just put
That's
it that way.
insane. I was talking to one of my friends who, like, it's funny. This dude, he was technically my first best friend ever. Like, I met him when I was 10, and he was telling me that one of his boys, basically, he got a job in New York, right? But it's a job you could kind of do at home. So he's getting paid New York money. He moved to Florida. This dude has a huge fucking house, cars and everything, because he gets paid New York prices, but is paying Florida prices. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Your dollar goes a long way. I don't know why the city's so fucking expensive, but I guess since it is technically the center of the world, it kind of makes sense. But it's like that for any big city. Like you go to fucking Boston, Boston. No, Boston's not that bad actually.
No, San Francisco.
San Francisco's
Los Angeles is crazy. Like
It's about as bad as New York is.
It's a little
I think
worse.
San Francisco might be worse.
San Francisco's worse.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of money flowing through San Francisco, so there's a lot of people there. I had a friend, me and Chris had a friend that moved over there, for a job, like a startup job, and he usually he couldn't live on the outside of San Francisco because he gets motion sickness from public transportation.
Oh yeah.
So what he did is he was literally living in San Francisco, paying those crazy prices for like a little nothing apartment, smaller than what we've had over here.
Damn. Yeah, that's wild, man.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, there you go. So yeah, next time we see you on, hopefully through on your questions, you'll have a
I should be all set up by then. All I really need to do is just set my computer down and then hook it up, and that's about it. I just have to tell the cable guy how to set up and then run a bunch of Cat 5 cable all over the apartment.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's jump in, man. Okay, Manny and I already had a mini throwdown, as we usually do sometimes. Man,
yes.
Okay, so this all came, together because of fucking Capcom. So today they announced. So okay, we're getting re-releases of Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, and Resident Evil 6. Not in that order. Not in that order.
What?
Hold on, bro. Let me finish.
Are they scattered across different platforms as well?
No, yeah, I mean, it gets better. Okay, so instead of putting it all in one nice package, no, 3 different releases, PS4, Xbox One. So you're gonna get fucking Resident Evil 6 is the first one you're getting, coming in March. Resident Evil 5 coming in the summer. And then the game everybody actually wants to play, Resident Evil 4 in the fall. It's like Capcom is just picking the bones of the fucking franchise. It's like they're doing this because it's the 20th anniversary. Instead of giving us a new game, no, let's just give you old shit as a reminder of what we used to be and aren't anymore. And then you lump this in with fucking Street Fighter V, how fucking fucked up that was, and it just paints this like horrible picture of a company that is pretty fucking irrelevant, and they've been irrelevant almost since the beginning of last gen. Let's just be honest,
I have a relevant anecdote.
Yeah, go for it.
I recently came across somebody who was asking in a group of friends what the big deal with Half-Life 2 was. And the basic, and this is on a forum, a group of people that I know just kind of posting on a forum. And basically his question was like, okay, so I see you guys talking about Half-Life all the time. I don't understand. Like, I just recently played it and I was bored. Like, what is the big deal with Half-Life? And everyone was just like, oh my god, you didn't enjoy Half-Life. And then we kind of started talking about it more, and it came down to the things that Half-Life put forward, the fact that it was a solid narrative game as opposed to being broken up and episodic, and the fact that you could play all the way through, and then the fact that they had a physics kind of mechanism, and it was the first time anybody ever got to play with physics and the gravity gun and everything like that, and made it a lot of first. But the problem is that all of these things have since been adopted by other games and brought forward and evolved even beyond that. So by the time that you get to a true classic, something that has been revolutionary in its genre, it feels stale and outdated because everything has taken that over. And and I say this is relevant because nobody fucking cares about Resident Evil anymore. Only the people who've played it. You cannot give a 14-year-old who never played Resident Evil 4 and expect it to be like, my God, this is a masterpiece, because they're not going to be.
Yeah, no, and by the way, I have something that's similar to that. BioShock. I played BioShock. I didn't see what the big deal was. I played it 7 years after it was released. All the shit it did, every other game already did it that I played. So I was just like, what's the big deal here, guys? I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. So that's a good analogy. And you're right. That's something, obviously I have a blind side with this. All of us in this room have a blind side. It's like we hear Resident Evil 4. It's like, oh, shit, Resident Evil 4. We think about, the greatness of Resident Evil. But you're right. You plop 4 in front of a kid, 14-year-old, he'd be like, the fuck is this? I want to play Call of Duty. I want to play Gears of War.
Yeah.
Gears of War might be too old too, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, what is this shit? Go ahead, Chris. What are you gonna say, man?
Well, it just seems like that their whole business plan now is to reap the legacy as much as possible with remakes and stuff. And it's funny because that's how I felt at PAX South, but I didn't want to tell them when I was doing the interview. So I played Street Fighter V, right? Felt really good. Felt like whatever. I'm like, okay, this is Street Fighter, right? But when we finally got the game, I'm like, not only is it not finished, but it doesn't add anything to the fighting genre. Like everybody who's coming after Street Fighter 4, Mortal Kombat, and Killer Instinct and stuff have tried to push something forward, right? Capcom is just, here's the next Street Fighter. It does nothing new. It's just there it is. We have some new characters. Like it adds nothing. And I don't care what updates are coming in March or June, it probably still won't add anything. Anything that's like a new mode or a new system or nothing. They just took what other guys have done that worked. It's like, oh, Killer Instinct, Instinct mode. Okay, V-Trigger. Thank you. Oh, Mortal Kombat, you have that. That I like this system. Here, just take that. But they don't add anything, right? They don't put anything back. They're just taking stuff, and that became Street Fighter V, right? And it's just sad. And then I played Umbrella Corps, and it was like, okay, you have this shooter in the Resident Evil universe, doesn't really fit, and it's this team shooter. And then Charles was there with Charles, and he's like, dude, you have to see Moving Hazard. Dude, Moving Hazard is going to blow that game away.
Oh, really?
I just have to say that right now. It's almost the same idea. It's like a squad shooter with zombies around. Dude, looking at Moving Hazard, like, it honestly looks like 10 times better. I don't know how than Umbrella Corps, but it does. And it's like it's a small studio. So when I saw that, when Charles was like, dude, forget this. You got to look at this thing. I was like, oh, shit, this looks like the real deal.
Yeah.
So then there's that. And then all they had there was Mega Man Legacy Collection. I'm like, another putting out old Mega Mans again?
Mm-hmm.
More. Capcom is becoming like the master of Dynasty Warriors-esque bullshittery.
Well, at least Dynasty Wars has new games.
Yeah,
quote-unquote new games.
Well, they're not re-releasing the old ones. They just make the same game over and over again. Capcom is just re-releasing their old games over and over again.
Exactly. I
don't
know which one is worse.
Is Street Fighter becoming the new Dynasty Warriors?
No, it's not, because they don't release them every year, and it's still a solid game. The problem is, the one we got... Huh? No. They release new iterations like every other year or so, right? But new, like, numbered ones, no, they don't do that every year, But the thing is, and I'm glad you bring up the whole, what's the name of that other game, Chris?
Moving Hazard.
Okay, and you said it's a small studio, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to bring up, because Manny brought up a really good point, right? You have Street Fighter V, right? Capcom, right? Legacy game. No, the fighting genre wouldn't exist as we know it without Street Fighter, right? Big studio, right? They come up with this bare bones game. Yet you have fucking, what was it, Exceed or Atlas or whatever?
Yeah, Atlas.
Coming out with fucking Guilty Gear.
Arc System Works, yeah.
Arc System Works coming out with Guilty Gear, right? Small studio pushing the genre forward, giving players what they need. Full arcade mode, story mode, all the basic shit, Yeah. So how is it that a small studio could do this, but then Capcom isn't doing it, I mean, we talked about this, right? We know why the game came out the way it is, because they're pushing forward the whole fucking FGC nonsense, I
can tell you why.
Well, I mean, I already told you, the Capcom World Tour started this week. They needed the game out this week, and they couldn't wait till June because they needed ready for EVO. As a matter of fact, I'm going to jump right into the topic I wanted to bring up. Because I tried to say it last week, but I know those guys weren't trying to hear it because they're big FGC guys. But it's the fucking truth, okay? And I wrote an editorial about this, which was people were thanking me for writing this. Basically, I said the problem is Capcom has forgotten that it's the casuals, and when I mean casual, I'm not talking about the people who just play Candy Crush. I'm talking about guys like me and Chris, right? Who've been playing Street Fighter for 20 fucking years. They've forgotten about us. Instead of us, and Manny too, they're focusing on the FGC guys. So it's like you're ignoring millions of people, right? Who may not even want to play online. I mean, I do like playing Street Fighter online, right? But there are guys out there like Manny. He doesn't care about that shit. He wants to play his arcade mode, play some modes and stuff, and get in there, right? Perfect example of this, Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat has a full fleshed out story, a story mode, by the way, that other fighting games are emulating now because they actually, redid it, like in the fighting genre. Bunch of modes, all this shit. You don't have to go online once, right? Yet you have Street Fighter here. They have the barest minimum game because they're like, hey, you know what? The FGC guys don't care about arcade mode. They don't care about story mode. They just want to get in there and compete. Yes, Street Fighter 5 as it is now is a great competitive game, but it's not a full game that's for everybody. And the thing is, here's the problem. FGC guys, they keep Street Fighter going, right? They keep that going, but the problem is they're not the ones that keep it thriving. The millions of people who just pick up Street Fighter because, like, hey, I want to play as Ryu for a little bit. I want to play as Ken. I want to go through a story. Those are the people. Even though they don't, hold on to the games that long, maybe they play for a month or two and shelf it. That's still money. You know what I'm saying? That's still money that goes to the Capcom's pocket, but they're ignoring all these guys in favor of these FTC dudes. And it's really fucking mad because dude, I've been playing Street Fighter since fucking 1991. I feel left out of the party now. It's like, come on, man, what the fuck is this shit?
Well, doesn't the FTC basically keep them from doing any major overhaul? I mean, if that's the game that they're making is basically a game to keep this competitive sport from, having a whole lot of waves, there's no incentive there to overhaul the game. There's incentive there to keep it exactly the same.
No, the FGC guys will cause kind of add innovation longevity to the title, which is why Street Fighter 4 has been going so long, because they keep rebalancing the game and adding stuff based on their feedback and based on how they're playing. But Tony's absolutely right. You need the casual guys to actually grow the game, right? If you just focus on the FGC guys, then you've just cut out everyone else from even wanting the game. No arcade mode, no story, a bare bones training mode, and the survival mode is ridiculous. Like it's either too easy or way too freaking hard. So there's no point in playing it.
Yeah, like I don't understand the point of just focusing on the FGC crowd. It's like, they're not the ones that are going to be bringing you money in the end. You're going to get another Mortal Kombat game. That's guaranteed. Remember, the last Mortal Kombat game sold millions and millions of copies. Those millions and millions of people that bought the game aren't FGC guys. There's probably thousands of them among those, not millions. So you're going to get another Mortal Kombat game because that game's successful because you catered it to everybody. And the game is not dumbed down. It is, like, technically speaking, it is a more complex fighting game than Street Fighter is, right? But they remembered the other guys, who just want to pick it up on a whim and stuff, Street Fighter's forgetting that shit, and it's just it just goes to show that Capcom is losing fucking touch with shit, focusing on these FGC guys. Again, I understand they're important. They're both important. You need the casuals, you need the FGC guys. I get it, but you can't just focus on one, Go ahead, Manny.
Also, not to mention, I mean, not as far as this goes, you realize how much fight money you need to spend to fight money that you need to earn to buy just one character. You have to win like 2,000 matches in order to get enough to buy one of the characters.
Yeah. For you guys who don't know, fight money is the in-game currency that the game uses. And apparently you have to win a shit ton of matches to have enough fight money to buy one character. No one's gonna do that. They're just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna spend $5.
So in the end, you end up giving Capcom money. It's DLC. It's just the grind is just too epic for any normal person to do to get the characters. Like the FGC guys, they'll do it. They're playing the game now. They'll play the game all day and night. So they don't give a shit about fight money. They'll find their main and they'll stick with them. Right? That's what they do.
And by the way, that's a concept I only really learned about last gen. Like I know I always liked Ryu. He was always my guy, but I always liked switching around. People were saying, "Hey, who's your main?" I'm like, "What the fuck does that mean, my main?" Like, and remember, I've been playing for 20 years. I'm like, "What the fuck's the main?" Like, and then when they told me, explain, I'm like, "Why would you do that?" Like there's a whole. But the thing is, it's all about picking one guy and getting really, really good at them so you can compete online and fuck dudes up. It's weird. And again, I feel like I'm being left out, and it fucking sucks. I love Street Fighter. Man, you remember how it was back in the 90s, man?
Yeah, man.
I played nothing but fucking Street Fighter for like 10 years,
Exactly.
I mean,
you go through all the, the rituals. We used to go, we go visit each other, right? We played through the game. We played through the arcade mode, get all the endings, stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
But,
and you bought fucking Street Fighter on 3DO,
Yeah.
That's real shit right there. What about us?
Here's the thing. But even back then, when it was just simplified, it was still the main things it had was arcade mode, versus mode, and there wasn't even any training. So that's all you got. You beat arcade mode, you get an ending. So I mean, this new Street Fighter game didn't even have that.
Yeah, it's like you don't have arcade mode, and they're considering adding an arcade mode. You shouldn't consider; it should have been there in the first place.
Yeah,
it should have been there. They should have just used the in-game engine to do the scenes, like that Vengus art they were pushing. Just looks like he did some thumbnails that they quickly colored and threw in and put some dialogue over it.
Vengus, that's the guy's name.
Yeah, it doesn't look like his art. It just looks like quick things that he doodled and somebody colored, and they threw a dialogue in there, and they're like, "There's a story mode." It's like that's not a story though.
Yeah,
it's a story if it has pictures.
It has pretty pictures.
Yeah, and then going on the other thing, fucking Resident Evil, really? Come on, man.
And you know Capcom is not going to put the extra effort into those games.
He didn't.
Like they're not going to get put higher res models. They're not going to do any.
They're not going to fix the game mechanics either. Like they could update each game to have something that they came up with in the last game. Like you could move and shoot in 6, which was the only good thing about that game. The rest of the game is ass. And I'm sorry, Capcom, but Resident Evil 6 is like the Jar Jar Binks of Resident Evil. Nobody liked that game. Nobody wants that back. You don't need to HD it up. We're trying to forget the last one. So we don't need that back. Resident Evil 5, we could upgrade it so you could move and shoot and do the things you could do at 6, but you're not going to do that. Just going to re-release it. And 4, this is what, the 13th version of 4? How many versions of 4 can you put out? Like, come on. It's on the phone. I have it on my fucking phone.
It's insane, man. But yeah, it's like they're picking the carcass. And to me, I feel this insulting, man. It's like you're just shitting on the legacy of this series, This is the 20th anniversary. This is the time we should have had a new iteration out. Really celebrate the greatness of Resident Evil. No, what do? You dig up fucking corpses. That's what they're doing, Because they have nothing else going on. Capcom is done. And while we're at it, what the fuck happened to Deep Down?
Yeah, where is that?
Like, what the fuck happened to Deep Down, man?
I know. We're going to get the 3rd Dark Souls game. So we've had 3 Souls games, technically, in the time that Deep Down was announced. There's still no Deep Down. We haven't heard jack shit. We're going to get Dark Souls 3. All right, next-gen Souls. Good job, Capcom.
Yeah, man. But Manny, go on. Say what you were telling me before about how Capcom is like the big 3 of Japanese developers now.
Yeah, they're if you notice, a lot of the Japanese developers, they just cannot pull it off. We're talking Konami, we're even talking Square Enix to an extent, that they just, when it comes to making their own internal games internally inside of their own studios, they can't pull it off. There's always something wrong because they're always trying to find some sort of ulterior motive to try to make money out of you. Or trying to give you half a game. Come on, guys. We're back in the day, you used to be able to get a $60 game. You got a pretty decent amount of stuff. All of a sudden, now we're just getting versus mode. Really, versus mode? That's it?
Yeah, man, Capcom. I don't know, man. What do you think is going to happen with them in the future? Because I think they're done, man.
I don't think that they're done, but here's the thing. I think, because also their legacy is just like Konami is very strong, and of course people hate Konami now, but just like Square Enix, their legacy is pretty strong, and it's going to be it's going to take a while for people to realize this is, that they're trying to pull. They're always trying to pull fast ones. It's funny. Capcom has always pulled this sort of stuff. They always put out with the hundreds of iterations of a Street Fighter game, where they've changed things or they added maybe one or two characters, the Super Street Fighters and all those games, it
Yeah,
wasn't until
but
it
each of
wasn't
those games were still full games, though.
they were still full games, but the thing is that they're still re-releasing things with just slight adjustments.
Yeah. I guess that's their own legacy right there, Chris, man, how bad do you feel because you were done with Capcom and then you're like, you know what, I think they got me again, and then they give you this shit.
Yeah, I was pretty annoyed. I was pretty disappointed because I got Street Fighter day one. I had to go to Walmart because Amazon had screwed everything up. So I got the game, and it took forever to download the day one patch. It was like the whole freaking game. It was like the rest of the game was in the day one patch because all that was on the disc was, I think, the survival or maybe training.
Yeah,
the rest of the game wasn't on there. So you get the patch, right? And then none of the servers worked. So like I couldn't play online, and I was just like, this is it? This is what we get? And then you go to half of the features, it goes coming in March. I'm like, oh, give me a break. Yeah, I was really disappointed.
Yeah, it's insane. Brett, what are your thoughts on Capcom, man?
I'm kind of at the tipping point where I'm just about done with them as a company. Honestly, all they're doing is rehashing old games in one sense or another. I was really excited for Deep Down. That never materialized. I'm just gonna. They don't really seem to care about their customer base or their legacy or providing a quality product. It's just what can we do to keep the company from burning down today, or reckless shareholder pandering. I don't even know what their deal is, but they as far as I'm concerned have stopped producing quality products. And I'm a little bit harder than everybody else because I lost track. I used to love Street Fighter, but I long ago lost track of what fucking iteration we are in Street Fighter 3 DX Enhanced Edition, blah blah. And there was a time before there was a whole around early Dreamcast era where they were releasing these things fucking one after the other, and I bought a game, and 3 months later it was outdated because they had released a new version of the game with balancing and updating things that were basically a patch today. And so I ended up paying $60 for a patch of a game. And I ended up just basically that was the final straw with me. I was like, I can't even keep track anymore. You go to a friend's house, they're like, hey man, you want to play Street Fighter? It's like, sure. What version do you have? There's 9 different versions out in the wild between you and your friends.
Well, I think what's annoying now is that they've only changed the model now. They're not going to do that anymore because they can't get away with it. Because other fighting games like Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct's like, no, we'll just stream updates. We can rebalance on the fly. Mortal Kombat did that in the last game too. They could rebalance on the fly. They could add characters, no problem. So you can't get away with that anymore. So they were forced to change the model. So now they have this crazy grind system. It's like, oh, you can get characters without paying money. Yeah, if I spend 500 hours trying to get a character, It's like, or you pay us $10. And what are most people going to do? So I'll just throw $10. But people are going to pick and choose their characters. You're going to have rosters that are incomplete. I don't even know if the games will work together if you have incomplete rosters. I have no idea how that's going to work. They're not good at that stuff.
At the very least, it's going to change the environment down to even more of just pick one person and get really good at them.
Again, can't pandering to those FTC guys,
right?
Well, not just pandering to them, but think about it. People who are getting into Street Fighter are now in an environment where you're actively discouraged from grabbing all of the characters because nobody can afford that. Nobody has time for that. Unless you want to spend all the money, and that's not a good use of your time playing a character that you may never play. So, I remember when I used to play it, you really knew somebody was good at Street Fighter when you'd have a few matches that go, back and forth, and then they throw down the gauntlet by looking you in the eye and just selecting random, and you'd be like, "Oh shit!" You little sweat pop out of your brow. Fuck, man, they called me out. What do I do? I'll use a third tier character that I haven't used yet. You pull out some random motherfucker. You're like, Barack. I'm gonna kick your ass with Barack, because yeah, that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen right now. Or Chun-Li. You're like, fuck it, I'm gonna pull out Chun-Li. Chun-Li's not one of my first tier or second tier characters, but fuck it, I'm gonna kick your ass with Chun-Li because you picked random. And even the idea of that kind of construct isn't that place, that world doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Because of this kind of action. It's the tiny ripples in how things react, but they're breeding a certain aggressive win at all costs, only play one character, learn to exploit everything about the frames of them. Like, I remember when, even before, like, the idea of, like, like exploiting the frames or timing everything perfectly, I remember the days before that was a thing. Like, I gotta say, like, basically competitive fighting games, in my personal opinion, have ruined a lot of the fun of the fighting games.
Look, I mean, I'm gonna jump in right now because you hit it on the fucking head, man. There's something I've been feeling since last gen, and now I notice it. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. The FGC, the fucking Evo, all that shit, while great as it is killing the fucking genre because it's making it smaller and smaller and smaller. It's excluding everybody. Fighting games were not like that originally. They were for every fucking body. They weren't. It wouldn't be that big if they were just a niche thing, you know. But they've become a niche thing because everybody wants to be Justin Wong or fucking Daigo Mahara. We're thinking about those guys out. We're not thinking about guys like us, you know. Brett, perfect example right there. They are fucking killing it. The fucking esports shit is killing the damn genre. And I know I know some of you guys out there are not gonna like me saying that, but it's the fucking truth. It is killing it. You know,
here's a perfect real world example. I am playing Street Fighter, right? I buy Street Fighter. I love the shit out of Street Fighter. My friend comes over, and I want to sit down with my buddy and play Street Fighter. You know how Street Fighter got fucking famous in the first place? So we want to sit down and play Street Fighter. Now, there's only two scenarios in which this can really go, and a little bit in between. On one end of the spectrum, I only have 2-3 characters unlocked because I haven't spent the time to unlock all of these other characters, and these are my mains. These are the characters that I like to play. So they have a limited option, which is going to limit their enjoyment of the game, right? Or option B, I have spent enough time to unlock all of the characters in this game, which puts me at a severe advantage in terms of sheer muscle memory and practice at the game. If you take somebody who has taken the time to unlock all the characters through play, not necessarily pay, right?
Yeah.
And then put them up against somebody who hasn't even been like somebody like me who's played pretty much damn near all my life, but I haven't played in a couple years. Like, I would get my ass handed to me on a scale that it wouldn't even be fun. So basically, they're leaving us the option of it not being fun or it not being fun. Oh, or you can pay, and then it might not be fun. But the paying isn't really fun in itself. Like, to have a casual experience in this game with your friend, you have to pay a very not casual price tag.
Well, to add to that, I don't think it's fair because before getting good at a fighting game meant playing it, right? You learn your moves, you know how to counter, you know that certain moves have priority over other moves. But now getting good at a game is knowing how many frames a certain punch has.
Bullshit.
And what everyone's hitbox is, so you know where you can tap to get a hit to confirm, so you can lead into a combo, and that's all. It's become this like mathematical nonsense. It's like that's not fun anymore. It's like there's guys who memorize all this shit and know, oh, this, you know, his fierce punch is 20 frames, and I know if I cancel it and go, it's like, what are you talking about? Now it's like homework. It's like this is not fun anymore. How about watching what a guy does? It's like, okay, he likes to jump a lot, so I'm going to punish you with a dragon punch. Like, there's no thinking like that anymore. It's all about hit confirms and combos and all this stuff, and they just sucked all the fun out of it.
Maybe it's because it's driven away from the original spirit of the game. Like, you're supposed to be representing somebody punching somebody else, right? And so the idea is supposed to be like, oh, they're attacking high, I'm going to counter low in order to take them to the ground. Like, that's the kind of thing you would think, like, I don't know, in a fist fight or a street fight, as it were.
Yes.
Something you might consider if you were a street fighter. But instead, it's been distilled down to math and frame counting, which is not the kind of thing somebody on a street fighter, as it were, might be thinking about. So it's gotten so into the nuts and bolts that it no longer represents the thing that it's supposed to represent when it started. And this is a phenomenon not just limited to fighting games. I see this shit happening all the time. I see it happening, especially in shooting games, where bullet sponginess is a huge problem. Like, you do realize you're supposed to be firing a metal projectile that shreds through soft tissue. I don't care if I shot them in the shoulder, and that doesn't take that many hit points away, and they have a recharging health shield. I just drove a hole through a motherfucker's shoulder How did they punch me? Like, we expect certain amount of this in terms of system limitation, things like that. But like, am I the only one who'd really like to see a fighting game where when you hit somebody, you see physics reaction? Like, if you punch somebody in the jaw, they kind of like and like fly sideways a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that would be good. I mean, look at Mortal Kombat. When you see those X-ray moves, and you're like, how are you still standing? I, like, compressed your spine, and I just knocked your jaw, your skull is crushed, but the guy's, like, still standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there a game like that? Wasn't it like Bushido Blade or something?
Oh,
like,
Bushido Blade was so good.
Oh, yeah.
Bushido Blade had one-hit deaths, though. You could just kill
But
them.
that's how you would be in a sword fight. That's it. You connected, you're done.
And,
when somebody stabs you with a katana, you fall over.
I found the best way to beat Bushido Blade is to run to the end of the game.
Just avoid fighting.
Yeah,
just
How do you win a sword fight? You run from it.
No, you just run because what happens is they run after you. So the thing is, the way the game works is that each level is a different section in the environment that brings you closer to the end. So what you can do is you could literally just run right and just run all the way to the end of the game. You beat the guy that you're currently fighting, and then you fight the last boss.
It's hilarious.
Fair enough.
But you're right. That's what it's turned down to. Mathematics. Where's the instinct of it? Just fighting, for muscle memory in your guts and all that. None of that anymore. It's like fucking those assholes that do the fucking fantasy football shit. It's just numbers. It's that
Motherfucker,
bullshit.
this doesn't need to be Moneyball.
Yeah. Oh, man. So. Yeah, it's sad. Capcom, you fuck it up. By the way, Brian showed up, and I guess he'll talk when he can.
Look at Brian's not getting into it. They didn't put Blanca in there.
Yeah, he's like, fuck this shit. Where's my guy?
I'm afraid of two things too.
Wait. They took out Blanca?
He's not in there. He will be. Eventually, I guess.
Wait, that's a core character, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, he hasn't been in every game. Like, he was in some of the alpha games and stuff.
Okay,
this is the kind of shit that pisses me off. Okay, and I'm just going to go on a Street Fighter rant for a minute. Like, you do not get to arbitrarily decide who's in the core game. Okay, here are the rules. You have a group of characters. Usually in your first game, probably about 8 to 10, okay? Then when you release sequels and new iterations, one of the things you get to put on your box is new characters. And each time you add between 4 and 6 new characters. And you fucking leave them in the game! That way, your core roster continually builds up. And that's a reason I want to buy Blank Fighter 6 as opposed to Blank Fighter 2. Because it's a more flushed out, comprehensive experience with more options and more characters. You don't just arbitrarily be like, oh, well, this isn't alpha, so this guy and this guy and this guy just didn't show up because they only show up to alpha street fights because they have other day jobs. Like this, it makes no fucking sense, and it's a stupid thing, and there's one thing to like try and be clever and be like, we're gonna squeeze all the money out of this, and there's clearly and blatantly pissing on your most loyal fan base, and that's something I cannot fucking abide.
Yeah. And look what they did with the characters. Look at Nash. Nash is just Charlie from Alpha, right? Now he looks like Frankenstein, and he has no charge moves. He was a charge character.
They got rid of charge characters. Like Bison's like the only one I found out was a real charge character. What happened to charge characters?
Because the fighting guys don't like charge characters. They just want fast moves.
Guys, exactly.
The FTC, they don't like charge characters. They want to cancel in moves. They want to quickly put out moves so they can lead into combos. You can't do that with charge characters too well, so they don't like it. So what did Capcom do? They just take those out. Just change the moves.
And you guys know how I feel about Akuma not being in the fucking game. Akuma. I'm that dude. I got the fucking Akuma tattoo. Where's Akuma?
Where's my character?
He's in fucking Tekken, man. That pissed me off.
He's in Tekken.
What was the roster of Ultra Street Fighter 4? It's like you'd expect that you would get close to that number, right? By the time you got to Ultra Street Fighter 4, where you had 30, 40 characters. I don't know how many characters were in there.
I mean, I was telling Manny, but I don't mind the fact that there's only 16 characters. That's not an issue for me. I have other issues. The fact that I can't play online, the fact that there's no fucking arcade mode,
And the fact that you can't earn fight money.
Yeah.
When you're not connected online.
Tony, you don't have a problem with there being only 16 characters.
No, because that's a good amount of characters. You know, when you start getting into the 20s, that's when you're like, okay, guys, you're just throwing too much shit in there
No, but
now.
we like choice.
You know?
I mean, look at Marvel vs.
Yeah.
Capcom 2. That roster was
Yeah.
crazy,
Don't
and
you
I
think
liked
that was don't you think that was a little over the top, man?
because it allowed you to match up different characters. It allowed you to play with different combinations. Remember, you could use 3 guys, right? And
Yeah,
combo
that's
with 2 guys. So
yeah,
it was a different type of game. But
Yeah.
with Street Fighter 4, okay, on Ultra Street Fighter 4, that's when it started to be like, this is leaning towards FGC, because when you went into training mode, you could see every character's hitbox, and it told you how many frames when you threw a move, how many frames it took. Like, you do frame counts, like, it did it for you. So it was obvious where they were going, right? They were already down that road. And the spectator mode, which, by the way, they didn't put in Street Fighter 5, and it's like, that's an odd choice. Like, this is something people have asked for in 4. You finally put it in there, and then you didn't put it in 5.
Oh, it's coming later.
Yes, it's
You mean with the games?
And by the way, all you people out there who say, "Oh, you know, Unreal Engine is not made for fighting games."
Out of here.
Guilty Gear Xrd was on Unreal 3.
Yeah.
And they had a solid online mode. They had arcade mode. They even had a semi-transaction system that's very similar to the Street Fighter one. But at least you could actually play the game offline and actually earn the characters in a decent way.
It's, where are these guys getting this from? It's like Unreal wasn't made for fighting games. Why? Because it was used in a shooter?
Yeah,
it's made to do anything. You could make a freaking like pachinko game out of Unreal Engine. It doesn't matter what you use it for. You could just use it so that you could work on the story and the characters, whatever it is you want to make. You could make a fucking point-and-click mystery game with Unreal Engine 4 if you wanted to. It doesn't matter.
It dominates the industry.
Exactly, but no, they're trying to make. Because the thing is, there's a bunch of apologists out there, you know, for Street Fighter, and it's like, oh, and then these guys have the gall to say, oh, you don't understand because you're not a Street Fighter fan. Fuck you! I've been playing Street Fighter for 25 years.
You could be like, I played Street Fighter before you were born.
Yeah, I was born. Exactly, you know.
That jumps on my point, though. Like, I want to stop and say, like, objectively at this point, like, I'm putting Capcom's feet to the coals. Is the game that you're getting from Street Fighter, considering the characters and the DLC and everything like that, is that truly worth the value of a $60 price tag when you compare it to all of the light games in the $20 to $30 price range? Especially when you talk about downloadable games, if you're talking about Skullgirls, if you're talking about Guilty Gear. Like, do you really get more content or better content from Street Fighter, or is it just that it's Street Fighter and it's the characters you've grown to know and love?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, you know, and because of Street Fighter, it is obviously the best fighting game out there. Mechanically speaking, it is the best fighting game. The problem is, it's the equivalent of you get the awesomest steak possible, right? You get the best steak you ever had in your life. Where's the other shit around it? You know, it's like, okay, the steak is the shit. Where's the fucking mashed potatoes? Where's the beer? You know, where's a little bit of vegetables?
That comes later. When you finish the steak, you can get mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, it's not a steak. It's a cheeseburger, right? Like, a steak would be something that has more substance to it. And I'm speaking objectively. Like, Mortal Kombat, for instance, was a more fleshed out, complex game. It's something that's harder to get right. Okay? I'm not talking trash on Street Fighter, but it is a simpler style of game. Okay, it has all these small nuances. I'll absolutely agree with that, and I'll agree that they've learned that, like, okay, well, people like invincibility frames and frame breaking and hitboxes, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. They've listened to their audience. I'm not saying that they haven't, but is it fair to put Street Fighter on the shelf next to Mortal Kombat or whatever new Mortal Kombat's going to come out and say that they are equal and equal in value and equal in price?
No, you can't. You can't because you can't. Dude, I'm actively telling people, don't buy this fucking game right now. It is unfinished. So, no, it isn't fair at all. You know, but it's Street Fighter. It has a legacy, so it gets a pass by dudes, you know. It gets a pass by the industry. This game's getting really great scores everywhere, you know. Man. And this hurts me because I'm a Street Fighter guy. I'm that dude.
Let me also add that Evolve also got very good scores as well.
Yeah, look at Evolve, that fucking game that wasn't even a game. Yeah, exactly. You know, this industry.
And I warned people. I played that beta. I'm like, this is like tag football. Like, you're gonna get bored in 10 minutes. And they're like, this is a great experience. What did everyone say? This is shit.
Let me also add that Titanfall also got it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Games
So,
that are herein lies the problem with the industry now. It is not about mechanics. As much as you want to make believe that multiplayer and all this stuff doesn't matter, it's the thing that matters. Well, what's going on here?
sorry about that.
Just
Oh,
as
you
much.
go ahead.
Yeah, just as much as you want to, say that all these things are, the online mode and all this stuff, competitive mode or whatever, are the things that matter. People still want to play a single player mode, no matter what. Even if they're not, even if here's the, even if they don't play all of it, they still want to play that. And that's what sells a lot of people. That's what sells people on these games.
But the problem is with Street Fighter, even if you want to play online, again, I'm not a guy who really likes playing online. I like playing Street Fighter Online. I can't even do that. Like, I have to wait 5 minutes between matches. I don't have that kind of time. I want to fucking play, And then if I want to play some offline shit, I can't, because if the online isn't working, I can't get any fucking points, So it's just fucked anyway.
You know what I'd love to see on Street Fighter? And, like, they probably have to make this a non-competitive game, like an offshoot game. But you know what'd be really cool is if they found a way to bring a fighting game kind of into an open world kind of thing. Now, hear me out, Tony. What if you could actually roam the streets and get into fights with people?
Yeah, they did that. It's called Shenmue.
Yeah, I know, and Shenmue was fucking awesome.
Yeah, they did that. Because remember, the fighting mechanics in Shenmue, they weren't similar. They were exactly Virtual Fighter. So remember the tower in Shenmue 2, Brett? You're engaging in fucking Virtua Fighter battles the entire time, going layer by layer, fucking do something. Hey, that's Wolf. Hey, that's what's his face? That's Jackie. It's like, okay, I understand what this is. That would be awesome. Like and I know there's other games out there that are like action adventure games that have really deep fighting mechanics and stuff. So it has been done before, Yeah, Shenmue was the best. I'm like, yo, Virtua Fighter? Okay, this is cool.
Dude, okay, you got me really excited. Here's what I need to see, gaming industry. I want to see a game where you have a Shenmue-style city that is multiple people can log into, right? It's like a big lobby, and you can walk around, you can buy items for your avatar, you can customize their look, and you also train at different schools, and that's where your like a little experience point comes in. That's when you can learn new moves, or you can buy books or that kind of thing. But you actually have to train like you did in Shenmue. And then while walking around the street, buying a new leather jacket or taking a taekwondo lesson, you could bump into another player and be like, hey, fuck you, and bust into a street fight right there with your avatar that you're already using. Just kind of take Shenmue and abridge it into an open world lobby so you could just like walk past people and beat the shit out of them on the street. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Do this.
And again, going back to Street Fighter, it just hurts because the core game is so fucking fun to play, man. Like, Chris, you could vouch for this too. It is fun as shit to play,
No, the fighting is great. Like, I slipped right back into it. It's just everything else around it. Well, there's very little around it. Very little. What little is there is not very good. Like, I tried those little stories, right? And Ryu's story is kind of tired. He's like meditating in New Zealand, and Guken's like, well, you should go walk it off. He's been walking it off for 5 games, dude. Like, how are you going to figure out, like, oh, I don't understand Dark Hado. Well, just go walk it off like you usually do. I get into street fights. It's like, really? That's it? Okay. Yeah.
But yeah,
and Ken is like, oh, I'm awesome, and I have my hot wife, and I have a baby now, and I'm going to fight for no reason?
Yeah, it's pretty weak. But yeah, like, when
my fight.
Yeah,
girls gotta dance, Chris.
Why do they fight?
But yeah, no, when my buddy came over and we were playing versus mode, right, like old school days, man, I'm like, dude, this is the shit right here, man. And also because we were kind of evenly matched too. Because online, here's my problem with online. There's no middle ground. Like, either I get demolished or I fucking eat the guy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No middle ground at all. It's either like I'm fighting either Godzilla or a fucking roach. Like, where's the guy that's on my level? But the matchmaking is all fucked up. But that's a problem with fighting games in general. They never really match you up right. But anyway, we've talked about enough about this. Fuck Capcom.
Segue, Tony.
Yeah.
Something you might be interested about, the Division that I recently found out.
What's up?
The Division, you basically have like a home space, right? And then you have the areas that you go in towards missions, right? And then you have the Dark Zone, which is basically where you go to fuck up other players and steal their shit.
Yeah.
Now, the places that you go on missions are actually instanced. So people like you who want to play single player can actually go through the entirety of the missions in the game without intrusion of anybody. Like, nobody's going to pop into your game, nobody's going to run across you while you're trying to get your mission done. The only time they do is when you kind of venture into the no man's land where you can just run across people. However, in these missions, you can still take up to 3 of your friends in with you. Anybody you're grouped in with will appear in that area. So you can kind of jump in, jump out of other people's games. So it's instanced in a way so that people like you who like single-player games don't find it intrusive if you don't want to be playing multiplayer games.
Okay, that's good to know. By the way, I got a funny Division story. Because this game, this isn't a shooting game. This is an RPG, right? So Torrance put up this video. He is level 60, right? He's been playing this game a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So he goes into one of the dark zones, and 4 level 15 guys roll up on him, right? And they start shooting Torrance. Torrance is just taking it because he's level 60. Just sprays all of them, murders them like nothing. And these guys were cursing, but the thing is they were cursing in Spanish because a bunch of Spanish dudes. It's like, yeah, this is an RPG, guys. If you're level 15 and that motherfucker is 60, you're done. It is over, But hopefully they balance that out too, because a level 15 shouldn't be in the same world as a level 60 guy, But there you go. All right, next thing I want to talk about. This my favorite thing of the week. This is so fucking funny. Okay, so a new Uncharted trailer came out. Uncharted looks fucking cool, right? There was one scene where Nathan is looking at a picture, right? And that picture caused a little bit of controversy because apparently they stole it from Assassin's Creed 4. It's a picture of concept art from Assassin's Creed 4. One of the guys that works on the Assassin's Creed 4, he noticed it, and he's like, hey, that kind of looks familiar. It's like, I understand the whole thieving aspect of Uncharted now,
Yeah, obviously being a little trolly about it, but here's to this thing's defense. A lot of times when you make games, there's a lot of temporary artwork that gets put in. Sometimes it could actually be a licensed character. There are sometimes you see like some games you'll see for some reason some other character from another game is running out, because at the point in time they didn't have a model for the main character, and the best approximation was this character from another game. So I'm thinking what happened in this situation, it was like, okay, they had this piece of artwork, it was just going to be there temporarily until they put something real there, and it just one of those things that just fell through the cracks. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, but to me, it just seemed like they did a Google search. Hey, that's a cool image. Let's remove that little pirate guy. Throw it in there. That's what it seemed like. So
I'm sure that is exactly what happened. But the thing is, it's usually when that sort of stuff happens, it's only temporary artwork. But for some reason, it made it all the way up to a complete trailer.
Yeah, so, obviously, like Neil Druckmann came, the creative director of Naughty Dog, and he flat out said, and I'm using his words, we fucked up. That's what he said. So they put up a new trailer. Nothing really a big deal, right? Not according to the Xbots. These dudes were trying to call out Naughty Dog. They're saying we should boycott them. They were trying to start a hashtag movement, Artgate. I am not making this up. I am not making this up. These guys were saying, oh, Naughty Dog has no integrity, and anybody that supports them are a bunch of thieves, too. They're supporting a bunch of thieves. And it's like, you guys are fucking reaching. You are reaching more than fucking Mr. Fantastic. You're reaching more than Luffy. You're reaching more than Michael Jordan at the end of Space Jam. Just because and I'm thinking it's because they lost that ammo with Quantum Break, right? Since they lost that ammo, they're trying to find anything they can, Torrance told this to me in private. I'm pretty sure I could say public too. He says to him, Xbox guys are lurkers, right? They wait in the cut, waiting for something to happen, and when they do, they pounce, So they're just waiting for any little thing Sony does to fuck up, right? In order for them to get in there,
I think that's pathetic. It's like, instead of pathetic. Like trying to, you guys go out and buy Rise of Tomb Raider, help your cause to have your exclusive games or whatever, and stop trying to drag everyone else down because you're feeling, the second place blues or whatever it is that you got going on. I'm sorry, your EP-ness is not gigantic anymore, but it's not fair to be like waiting for somebody to slip up and go, oh, no, that's it. No, PlayStation 4 is inconsequential now, and Naughty Dog should be sued and Artgate, whatever. It's ridiculous.
They want dudes to cancel the pre-orders now.
Oh, whatever.
Because of this. These guys, again, they're looking for anything, any little piece of ammo they could possibly get against Sony. And it's just like, dude, they spent the entire day on this whole Artgate shit, right? Trying to call out Naughty Dog, trying to call out the fans. And it's like, you could have used this entire time to actually play your Xbox games.
Yep.
You know?
Go get all the achievements in Halo.
Yeah, exactly. No, instead of that, let's find something against Sony. Let's go after them. You know, you guys are so fucking pathetic, man. And I'm not talking about Xbox fans. They don't give a fuck. Xbots are the problem. You know, dudes like Zinc. You know, these motherfuckers.
Well, and you got to realize somebody at Naughty Dog might have lost their job over this. Is that not enough? Like, you realize Neil Druckmann had to apologize for a guy who cut together this trailer, used a piece of placeholder art, like Manny said. It made it all the way on the internet, right? They fucked up, pulled it down, replaced it, put it back up. But somebody might have been fired over this. Is that not enough? You know? Somebody or got reprimanded, yelled out, whatever. They may have fired them.
You don't think that happened behind the scenes? Somebody got, they got slapped at the least.
You know? So it's like, that's real consequences, man. Like, these guys need to shut up. You're not living in reality if your worst problem is complaining about a piece of art in a trailer. Like, somebody might have fucking lost their job. That's real consequences.
Yeah, not your bullshit, It's insane. But again, they're like, this shows the integrity of Sony fans, that they're willing to be complicit in this thievery. I'm not making this up, man. Oh, it's ridiculous. This is the shit I got to deal with on Twitter every day, man. This is the shit I got to deal with.
But it's like, who made them judge of integrity? You're the assholes who don't want other people to have Quantum Break and stuff. Like, more people play our games, we can't have that. Like, so you're in no position to talk about anyone else's integrity. I'm sorry. Like, you're not the judge of what anyone does with their money.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's like, okay, you literally didn't want a whole segment of gamers to play a game because you wanted it all for yourself, you greedy little shits, and you're telling me that I should boycott Naughty Dog because they're thieves and I'm a thief? Fucking stupid, man. Fuck, it's pathetic as shit, And they're like, oh, Sony, you took that L. You took what L? Get the fuck out of here. Ridiculous. Brett, what are your thoughts on this silliness?
Meh. I'm not caring. I'm just
nothing surprises you with these guys anymore, does it?
I don't even know how to quantify it. Like, no, I'm not surprised. I guess I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. It's at the end of the day, you can't attribute to maliciousness what can be solved by stupidity. It's somebody fucked up, somebody lost their job, somebody lost track of something, but it's a cog in a machine, and it's not necessarily indicative of a greater conspiracy. And the thing that always gets me about this is, people like, I'm not saying that you need to throw your tinfoil hat in the garbage, but it's you need to use it a little less creatively. It's not so much that there's a slew of people trying to maliciously undermine another group of people. There's a group of people whose primary motivation is not in line with your best interests. And through a series of very complicated mechanisms, their best interests are realized while kind of exploiting you for the thing that they want from you, while not giving you what you want. The thing I always tell people is, like, it's you don't need the fucking Illuminati. You don't need a dark table filled with shrouded Emperor Palpatine motherfuckers, because the Koch brothers walk around and exist in real life. They're in the fucking daylight. They wear human clothes. They eat sandwiches. They're not hiding from you. They're right fucking there. And they are changing and manipulating the game so that the end results are rigged. And that's how a lot of these things are. Like, it's a very complicated series of equations, and somebody behind the scenes pulls a little string, and that has an effect on this, this is an effect on this, this is an effect on this, and this is an effect on this, and boom, you have an end result. So while I'm very clearly trying to express that I don't think conspiracy theories are always wrong, and I think a lot of times there are a lot of people who have a lot of motivation to do you harm, or at the very least to be apathetic to the things that are important to you. This, however, is not that. This is somebody being incompetent and stupid and or dropping the ball. And they could have a very good reason for it. Maybe they're going through a messy divorce. Maybe their cat just died. Like, who the fuck knows? But it's probably just this tiny, unnecessary thing. And, like, if you guys are really that intent on jumping at shadows, like, how can you look so hard at something, at a system, and not see where it's broken? You're seeing the things that you want to see, but you somehow just miss all of these big industry-wide things that we should be fighting about. And it kind of reminds me of how politics are. Like, everybody wants to get all up in arms about sexism, classism, Gamergate, and all this other shit. Nobody fucking realizes these are all just symptoms of basic classism turning us against ourselves. And I don't think that it's necessarily, when I say that there's somebody somewhere that says, cool, let them fight it out. It's not somebody's going to be like, yes, let's turn the blacks and the whites against each other so we can manipulate the country further. It's more like, every time we put up a racial profiling piece, we get a bunch of hits. We make a bunch of money. Every time we do a thing about Anita Sarkeesian, everybody jumps in the comments and fucking starts a big controversy about it. We make a bunch of money with advertising. That's how the system is skewed against us. And instead of recognizing it, we just spend our time wallowing in this pedantic shit over and over again. And I just like, at a certain point, it's just, okay, like, you guys just seem bound and determined to fight over the stupidest stuff, and very intently refusing to acknowledge the things that are crippling all of us as a group of people, that are hurting something that we all love. You're fucking rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, and now you want to ask me, do I like the chairs better on the left or better on the right? Like, I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Like, I'm starting to get angry at your incompetence at failing to refuse to see the gravity of the situation around you all. This is the world's most lucrative media enterprise, and it is threatening to be homogenized or taken away or exploited. And you people, us people, everybody here is part of the reason that this industry has grown. People like Tony and Manny and Chris and I raised this industry on our backs from the time we were small kids, fucking selling lemonade, mowing lawns, picking up fucking dog poop for the neighbor across the street just so we could afford a fucking Super Nintendo. Like, there's an undying love for this industry buried deep in my heart, and I find it tragic to see it reduced to this. And I'm not sure if you guys are just too young to remember, or you never really fucking cared, but if you don't understand how it was, like, we used to have to fight just for the right to be enthusiastic of video games. We got constantly dismissed by everybody. And now that our voices are finally being heard, a bunch of you fucktards want to come in and muddy the goddamn waters. Like, it irritates me. Why can we all just not sit back and enjoy something that we wanted to legitimize for so long? You feel so compelled to prove that you're right, that you're willing to fight with a goddamn post. It just doesn't make any sense. You're arguing about fake art in a video game. I agree that this is an issue for somebody somewhere. It is appropriation of assets, but it is a minor appropriation of minor assets, which could be completely accidental. Nobody's buying this game for this fucking digital painting in the background. This doesn't matter except between company executives, company lawyers, and a check for probably a few $100 fucking dollars. Like, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. You're just fishing for ammunition. And that's where I get truly disappointed. And that's why it's aside from the issue. You're looking for a reason to fight somebody. And that just disappoints me. And I guess that's all I had to say about that.
Yeah, I like how you I don't have anything to say, then you went off for 20 minutes.
Yeah, you went off, man.
Sorry.
I was going to say it's a little more...
By the way, Brett.
Well, I mean, the short version of what Brad said is basically, yeah, you guys are not seeing the bigger fucking picture. Instead of looking at all the actual problems we're having, right, the actual enemies at the gate, no, you're fucking doing this console shit. It's like, come on, guys, look at the fucking bigger picture right here. You have people literally wanting to destroy fucking games. You have people that claim to be gamers, right, trying to destroy gaming. No, we're not talking about that. We got to talk about PS4 versus Xbox. We had fucking Stephanie Burdo, right, on our site. She wrote an editorial about Kingdom Hearts, and she asked him a question. Should we care about Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Guess what happened in the comments section? Console war bullshit. Really? What the fuck does console wars have to do? One guy was literally going, "Oh, my man, I'm gonna call you out. Trees of war. What are you doing, man?" He's like, "Oh, I was excited for this game when it was a PS4 exclusive, but now that it's coming to Xbox with a superior, inferior hardware, I don't care." It's like, come on, man. And then another guy went in there, went at it. It's like, come on, dude. Everything seems to boil down to a fucking silly console war. And the console war, ironically enough, is like less important than it was years ago. It is really fucking irrelevant now. If you have an Xbox, you're playing all the games. If you have a PS4, you're playing all the games. You have a PC, you get everything. Why the fuck are you beefing? Instead of like celebrating games, right, which are really in a good state now. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We gotta, try to find any little thing we can against the guy, any ammunition against the guy, and throwing at him. It's fucking stupid.
You know what pisses me off now, Tony? And I'll even use you as an example, like little 8-year-old Tony, right? Playing on his fucking Super Nintendo or whatever, and somebody comes along and fucking judges you. They sneer at you. They say you shouldn't be playing video games. That's a nerd thing to do. Flash forward to the same Tony, like 14, 15 years old, playing video games. Somebody's like, "Oh, you should be playing that. That's a nerdy thing to do." And flash forward to him, fucking early 20s. "Oh, you should be doing that. That's a kid's thing to do." Flash forward to his late 20s, like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. That's a reclusive neckbeard thing to do." And then finally we come to a glory that the clouds part and a ray of sunshine shines down on Tony, and he feels the warm embrace of acceptance. You know what? You can actually play a video game all you want. And now we finally come full fucking circle to where a bunch of people knock on his door and come in and say, "Tony, you should feel bad for playing this video game because it's sexist. You should feel bad for playing this video game because it doesn't support independent developers. You should feel bad for playing this video game because blah, 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 blah." You know what? All this sounds like is the same litany of bullshit of you telling me I should be ashamed, or telling Tony that we should be ashamed of this same thing that we've been doing for years, for fucking decades. And it's the last in a long list of reasons that I should apparently be fucking ashamed of myself. And you know what? I'm immune to it. I'm pretty sure Tony's immune to it too, aren't you?
Man, you just brought up a good point. You're shaming me just using different language. It's the same fucking shit.
Yeah.
And this is why, again, I hate to say, but I'm just going to say, this is why people like Anita Sarkeesian are fucking dangerous. She is fucking Jack Thompson with nice titties, basically, It's the same shit. Video games are horrible. You need to take it away. It's the same fucking shit. She is Frederick Wortham. Oh, comics are horrible. They need to be banned. The same fucking shit. But no, we're not talking about that.
Worse.
No, she's far worse, because I still believe Frederick Wortham at least had noble intentions. What her intention is, right? It's fucking money. Anyway, I'm not trying to get on, talking about this dumb bitch.
Oh, you mean like the $20,000 she generally asks for speaking engagements?
Yeah, exactly, But anyway, the point is, instead of worrying about that, instead of talking about actual, and like I said before, actual enemies at the gate, no. PS4 is better than Xbox. Xbox is better than PS4. You guys are fucking stupid. Seriously, you guys are fucking dumb. Stop that shit. Focus on the actual problem, And I want to end it off there before I get really crazy. Fucking stupid.
I'm mad.
I'm mad. All right. We're gonna keep the mad train going. Just to throw down. We talked about this on 30 Other Questions, but we got to talk about it on the main show. HTC Vive priced at $800. People were not very happy about this. Hey, Brett, go ahead, Manny.
Can we put the dude out again? The price of VR is too damn high.
Yeah. So I sent Brett this article. It was written by Geek.com too, and the guy was basically saying what Brett has been saying. It's like, yeah, the dream of consumer price VR, dead. It ain't happening.
Can I just stop you right there?
Go ahead, Brian.
I heard this on Throwdown Your Questions. Hey guys, I heard this on Throwdown Your Questions. I was like, guys, you guys are missing the big picture here. This is the entry point, of when VR is starting. Shit has never been so cheap. Relatively speaking, things have always been oh, it's way over 1,000 when it first enters. 4K TVs, they're fucking ridiculous prices right now. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen ones that have been 2,500. It's wow, okay, I'm not touching that. You know, like this is generally what happens. Like these things that come out, they start expensive, and then down the road, of course, they lower down in price. And yes, I'm not excusing the high price points because like they're fucking high price points, but all I'm saying is give it 2 years. Like, that is what I do with any new piece of technology. I just give it 2 years and then I evaluate it. Like the PS4, I gave that 2 years. It's still a bit for me. You know, the Move, I give that 2 years. That's nowhere. The Kinect, I give that 2 years. That's nowhere. The Wii U doesn't seem to have lasted like 2 years. But generally speaking, like 2 years is like a good milestone that I set any piece of technology just to see how far it can progress. Like 3D TVs, like I gave that 2 years. I don't know where they went. Like they just they were like there one day and then gone the next day. Boom, gone. You know, so I think that you guys are just jumping on the price a bit too much, in my opinion. You know, like
okay.
yes, it is high. I'm not excusing
the price is too damn high.
The price is high, but then here's the thing: like things always start off high. Give them 2 years, see how much the prices come down. And again, I say this with the Rift. Like maybe that $800 is worth it. Like maybe it is $800 worth of like high-end, awesome-ass tech. But I don't know.
And I would agree with, like, I'm not disagreeing with any of that. Here's my problem. Like, I would have loved if they would have come out with 2 iterations of the Rift, like a $400 version and an $800 version, because this whole thing was supposed to be super accessible. Like the industry has faltered before by being at this high price point. Now it's not going to falter again. I don't think VR is going anywhere. My concern is that there isn't enough traction to get enough customer base for people to devote a lot of time and money towards development yet. So you're going to see pretty much this whole platform being populated by indie genre games, and that's going to put it in a slower exponential growth. It's going to take years to really hook on, whereas if they had come out with a $350 headset, boom, like everybody would have one of those things by fall. So it's not so much that it's doomed to fail as that it got everybody hyped up because of this thing, and then it failed to deliver on this thing. So while people are still hyped up, and that really goes to show that this time this might actually stick, that there's people who are less excited about it because it failed to deliver on the one unique promise that it was bringing to the table, as much as it may be worth it.
Yeah, but Brian kind of has a good point though, because and you're right. I didn't think about it. It's like, remember when DVD players came out? Motherfuckers were expensive, right? I remember when I bought mine, it was like $400, $500. It was fucking expensive. 2 years later, you know, it was affordable. My question is, will VR stick around that long? You know, for you know, that's my question. Will it stick around for those 2 years in order for the price to drop?
Oh yeah. It's not going anywhere. Now it's just a question of how slowly versus how quickly it's going to grow, and how fast it's going to reach a certain tipping point in which there's enough of a market share for companies to start throwing big money behind it, and you'll see it kind of build up and build up and build up, and then boom, overnight, like one holiday season, everybody's going to be getting a VR headset. Like it'll reach a certain point of critical mass before you see it flop over. It'll For lack of a better term, you'll see its growth has kind of a bell curve to it. So you'll reach a point of critical mass where a certain amount of people have it, that it grows exponentially. They're showing their friends, and then it catches on. Like if you look at like this last holiday season, like the fucking hoverboard things, like those things are ridiculously expensive, but it was the in thing to buy. I think you're gonna have to see an install base of a certain amount of people and a certain amount of development and a certain amount of things coming out for it, and then you'll hit that critical mass in which that $600 price point may not necessarily matter. And if it's dropped by then, all the better. But my main concern was I was sad because it was looking at $400, like it would come out of the gate and boom, it like instantly catch fire. And it doesn't seem like they've been able to deliver on the $400 mark, so it seems like the growth is going to actually, instead of, being an overnight thing, it's going to be, it's going to take a few years to grow. Unless Sony comes out with a lower price point, in which case they could fucking steal the show.
Yeah, that's the other thing I want to bring up, though. And Brett, you just linked to something right there about Sony, but here's the thing. I think Sony has a good opportunity here, right? Because you see the price of these VR sets. Sony could be like, all right, $400, right? They could do that, even if it's cutting into their profits and shit. They could do that, and that may be the way to get people familiar with VR. And I think it's a smart move because there's a lot of PlayStations out there, right? That's it. You already have your PlayStation at home. You don't need to, buy a crazy super PC to play this shit. $400 during the holidays might be pretty good, if they keep it at $400.
Yeah,
man.
well, even if it's below $500, I think they'll be in a really good place. Also, of interesting note, like I was correct, there is processing power in an additional little cube that comes along that you hook up to your PlayStation. It offloads the processing power of the 3D audio, so that the PlayStation doesn't have to do it. And one of the interesting things about this article I showed to Tony was it was talking about how they've been able to optimize the hardware in the PlayStation VR to basically get results equivalent to a PC specs of 60% higher strength. So they're able to actually get a level of quality on the PlayStation that people are getting with the Oculus Rift. So they're basically telling developers if it can run on the Rift, it can run on the PlayStation, which is very good news.
Yeah,
that's pretty encouraging. Yeah.
So
but
it says their bullet points are every PS4 is the same, optimized for 1, optimized for 36 million. Comes with a DualShock 4 controllers. All the peripherals are known. All the tracking is built into the camera. Let's see. It also doesn't use any of the drivers since it's a dedicated gaming periphery. It doesn't use any of the drivers that it would necessarily have overhead for PC. So they're finding a way to cut a lot of corners and make it highly optimized and actually really work. So if they can come out with something that does 80% as well as the Rift does, and is a fraction of the cost, the thing you're going to see is people developing for multi-platform to take advantage of bigger market shares. So they're going to develop for the least powerful system. So therefore, games will most likely look identical on all 3 platforms, for the most part.
Yeah, so that's not bad right there, So we'll see. But go ahead.
I'm just a bit skeptical of the numbers. Like, again, I haven't watched the whole video yet because it's like an hour long, but I don't know. I'm always very skeptical when people start throwing out like these dumb numbers, like so and so is 20% more, 60% more. It's like based on how are you calculating those numbers exactly?
I would imagine that they were able to get a 60% optimization boost off of, or as opposed to running it just off the raw hardware by building a specific engine or a program to run it through, and then they basically said like, well, we saved 60% processing, so therefore it's equivalent to a 60% more powerful PC. That part I honestly don't care about. What I do care about is the developer saying it's roughly equivalent.
Damn.
I'm always a bit skeptical when these developers say these things. It's just like I am never too convinced until I check out the numbers for myself. To be fair.
Or you see it in action.
Both, I guess. But no, I've nothing to say. Again, the Vive price point, whatever, 800. I am pretty surprised at the lack of people complaining about that being expensive, as they did when the Rift came out.
Well, it's technically
kind of like
the Rift.
Oh no, the Rift is expensive, and then this comes out, it's like, yeah, you know what, the Rift doesn't seem all that expensive now.
Well, it's technically less. The way people are doing the math, as far as I've come to understand, is there's the price of the Rift with it, which is $600, and there's going to be an additional price cost to the Oculus Rift Touch model, and the Vive is already equivalent to the Oculus Rift Touch model, so that would bring up the price to at least $650. And then you have the tracking mechanisms or the controllers, the things that the Vive comes with that the Oculus Rift doesn't come with. And you end up finding that to get the equivalent amount of hardware with the Oculus Rift is actually going to cost you about $50 more. So it's a bigger bundle, but piece by piece, it's, I guess, less expensive. So I've seen some people praising that. I've seen a lot of people pretty apathetic to that fact. Like, yeah, okay, you get more, but now I have to fucking shell out $800 to get a better deal. That's spend more to get 10% off. So, But I think that's the reason that you're not seeing a lot of people being real pissed off about the Vive's price is just because it I guess includes controllers and
Yeah, it comes with a lot of shit.
everything you need.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so there you go. I mean, keep you updated on this as always. If you saw me being a little distracted right now, I'll explain that later. All right, so you guys are gonna love this shit. Okay, so I did my review of Far Cry Primal, right? I got the game last week, which is really cool. Thank you, Ubisoft, for getting that game really early so I could get the game, reviewed for embargo, right? So remember, normally I don't read other people's reviews, right? Because I don't want them influencing me anyway. With this game, I had no choice because there were no reviews out, right? I'm reviewing this in a vacuum, basically, right? And I'm loving every second of it. This game is better than this is already one of my contenders for Game of the Year. It's fucking brilliant. I love it, right? So I gave it a really high score, really praised the shit out of it, right? Review goes up, right? And the comment section, you're gonna love. Here's the funniest shit, Brian. I don't even know if you saw this. I got accused of being paid off by Ubisoft. Why? Because every other site is giving it kind of middle kind of scores or like mid-high scores, and since I gave it such a high score and I'm not going with everybody else, I must be paid off by Ubisoft. It's like, where do I begin to dissect this shit? I did a Tony's take on this thing, so it's like, okay, let me get this straight. Ubisoft is going to pay a little ass site like the Coalition for a positive review. Why not pay off IGN? Why not pay off GameSpot? Why not pay off Game Informer? You're going to pay off some fucking site no one's probably going to read. I'm just being honest. Why would anybody come to Coalition to read a review of Far Cry Primal when they could go to IGN instead? I'm talking about like the mainstream guys, not our hardcore fan base, They don't give a fuck about the Coalition. Let's just be real. So why would Ubisoft even do that? It's insane. And then the thing that disturbs me about it is basically, hey, you not agreeing with those guys, therefore you must be being paid off. It's like, hold on, why am I wrong, but they're right?
You know what you are, Tony?
I'm a traitor.
You're a traitor.
I don't know why I'm a traitor too. But yeah, the real reason I'm talking about this is what is up with this like sheep mentality when it comes to reviews? Oh, everybody else says it sucks, so if you don't say it sucks, you must be wrong. What the fuck kind of shit is that? And again, it always goes back to review scores. If that fucking score wasn't there to begin with, we wouldn't be having this problem because people would just read it and that's it. But what do you do? They scroll down. How dare you give the story that high of a score? Motherfucker, did you play the game? Remember, this embargo was out on Monday. No one played this fucking game yet. How could you give it that high score? Everybody else gave it a low score. So you should trust those motherfuckers, but not me, right? Because, again, they forget. This is my opinion of the motherfucking game, But apparently their opinion weighs more. But then at the same time, I got paid off. This little ass site. Wow, it's fucking ridiculous,
I can understand a basic amount of very vague confusion if you've never run across Tony's reviews before. But Tony's very clear that his reviews are put in an editorial style. It is an opinion piece. He's not even trying to be objective. Like it's no secret that Tony and I butt heads on sometimes different approaches to review a game, and there are some people out there who will try to break it down mathematically, tell you what the game has, what the game doesn't have. Tony is not one of those people, and anybody who's spent 10 minutes with him kind of needs to realize that. Tony's telling you his experience with the game, what he thinks of the game. Even his writing style reflects that. So
yes,
he really liked the game. I realize it may look weird to you guys, but it looks weirder to Tony because he's just like, I liked the game. And people are like, wow, you got paid. It's like, no, I like the game. And he genuinely does. This motherfucker will not stop talking about this game.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm still playing it.
Right before the show, he was just like, oh, man, I've been playing Far Cry Primal. I went to visit him early today, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna probably see if I can get the Platinum Trophy in this game.
Hell yeah, because it's good. Dude, I get to be essentially a primitive fucking Beastmaster. Dude, I'm riding a fucking saber-tooth tiger with spears. That is the shit. You can't top that.
Unlike a certain Conan game that doesn't allow you to play fucking Conan.
Yeah, so and again, it just disturbs me. I don't give a fuck what you say about me. I don't give a shit. I wish Ubisoft was paying me. Give me that fucking money. You know, but my thing is like, you guys are going on this bandwagon train. It's like you're forgetting the basic thing. Every review is fucking an opinion. I don't give a shit if the person tells you, "Oh, my opinion is subjective." No, it isn't. You're a human being. Your experiences color your review. There's no such thing as an objective review. It is impossible. The only way you can have an objective review is, hey, this is a video game. If you press buttons, things happen. It has graphics. It has sound. That's subjective, and that's fucking boring. You know, you don't want to read that shit. You want to read something that pops, you know, and I'm going to give you that, you know, and people like my shit. And here's the ironic part. Here's the best part, and I'm not talking about the guys on our site. They're cool. What are people saying about the game? I'm not talking about, like, the reviewers. I'm talking about actual people playing the game. They fucking love it. It's insane, man. It is fucking insane, but that's the shit I had to deal with. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I just think it's hilarious. Like, I mean, Ubisoft even put out that their official commercial was full of different Twitch streamers loving the game, right? And in general, they seem pleased with it, you know. So it's kind of hilarious to me. These guys are like, "Oh well, your opinion doesn't match this opinion, so you must be bought off." And it's like, dude, you're 12. Wait till your nuts drop. Get off the internet. You're just embarrassing yourself.
And you bring up a great point. Okay, so they're like, "Oh yeah, you must be paid off." What about the other guys that like the game too? GameSpot gave it a really high score. Did they get paid off too? It's like they're ignoring all the sites that gave it a really high score, right? And just going for the negative shit. You know, it's fucking hilarious. You know.
But I feel like we've all grown up, but the people that are leaving comments on all this stuff are like still 10, or are 10. So it's like, shut up.
Yeah, and you know me, dude. I went in on these guys in the comments section, man. Fuck that shit. You know, because I brought him to task. I'm like, hey, so you're telling me those guys are more trustworthy? He's like, oh no, it's just because you gave it a different score than everyone. It was a little suspect. I'm like, how the fuck is it suspect?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
what are you reading? Who said what? It's like, and then at the end of the day, who cares what anyone else said? Tony played the game. He gave it his honest review. He gave it a score. That's it.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, guys. Stop with the sheep mentality. You know, stop with that bullshit. It's sickening. Anyway, we're about to wrap it up, but Brett, you got something very important to tell us. So go ahead.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we kind of pulled the trigger on this one a little bit early on Sunday, just because I got asked about it. But for those
bad.
No worries. For those of you who've been paying attention, just after we got out of the woods of treatment and we're starting to pull our lives back together and everything seemed hopeful, we got the bombshell that Rachel has had a recurrence of her breast cancer, and it has spread. It is now stage 4. We are looking at an uphill battle, but we're going to throw everything we have at this, including the kitchen sink. One of those things is an out-of-state treatment that's not covered by our insurance. Now, this is, I'm not really going to talk much about it because I'm not sure what the rules of like clinical trials and what I can disclose, and I'm not going to disclose Rachel's personal medical information over the internet, but I will say, done the research, and it looks like one of the few things that has a very good chance of working. Unfortunately, we are short $10,800 for the treatment. So we have started a crowdfunding campaign to try and get Rachel the money that she needs to hopefully help fight this thing back so that she can stay with us. I am going to be posting the info, and I pass the information along to Tony. If you can give, that is awesome and highly appreciated. And if you can't, just help us get the message out.
Yeah, definitely donate. And then, you know, going back to what I was talking about before, I was like, hey, you guys saw me striking. I was donating, so I threw 300 bones at you guys, man. So I definitely advise everybody, give whatever you can. Spread the word, man. We got to keep Rachel around, you know. And again, you know, just got to say the obvious. Fuck cancer, man. It's fucking bullshit. And again, it pisses me off that 2016, we can't even cure this fucking shit. You know, we talk about how advanced. And I'm sorry, Brett, I need to go off on a rant, right? Because this pisses me the fuck off. You know, like we have this technology, right? That's not even able to cure shit like this. That's so fucking pervasive, you know. So it just gets me mad. But you know, we can't really help that. So you know, hopefully, you know, whatever treatment Rachel's gonna get will, you know, stem the tide here. whatever. So yeah, please donate. The links are down there in the description. So donate, please. It's all appreciated.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So thank you for letting us know that. So yeah, kind of a bummer, but you guys, you have the right spirit, man. Just keep fighting that shit. A lot of people just give up. You guys aren't about that. Fucking fighters. I like that. So you're my friends.
Well, and to top this off, this is something that pissed me off, and since I have a platform, I'm going to mention it.
Say it.
I just want to point out, Twitter has shadow banned Rachel because of her support for Gamergate. So her entire Twitter follower group is, I guess, not able to see the platforming we're doing for this breast cancer treatment. So I just want to share that Twitter's attempt to make sure that everybody's safe, they have put a major hurdle in the way of making sure that a woman is safe. So I feel like that's bullshit, and I feel like somebody ought to call them out for it, and there you go for that. But so yeah, if anybody, like, even if you can't share, help us broadcast, because we've kind of been gagged a little bit.
Yeah, for the sake of some people's feelings,
Yeah, my feelings are pretty well hurt. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, no, but you don't matter because your thoughts don't align with theirs, So because your thoughts don't align with theirs, they're gonna shut you out,
Yeah. Can I just add to the whole Twitter shadow banning thing?
Go ahead, man.
I was one of the guys that enjoyed her tweets, right? And then I generally thought that she had stopped tweeting as much because she was busy with other stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, she doesn't tweet as much anymore. That's fine. And then I later go on to find out that she had a second account that was actually retweeted by someone else that I followed. And I was like, hold on, is this the same Rachel? So I went through and it's like, oh wow, it is. And then it's just hearing about the whole thing was like Twitter can actually do that. They can actually just shadow ban you like nothing without even telling you.
Yep.
That is crazy. That is honestly crazy. That's like a whole new level of censorship.
Yeah, and the fact that they can arbitrarily do it based on just algorithms, or I'm sure it had something to do with her passing along Gamergate stuff, because she's actually, despite what you may think from knowing her, she's generally pretty cordial online. She doesn't resort to name calling, but she does love throwing facts at people. So I can't really see her having crossed the quote-unquote abuse line in terms of actually abusing anybody. It's got to be some of the hashtags or the ideas that she's put forward, which are unfortunate because they're all progressive, egalitarian, gamer-friendly things. It's the stuff that we always talk about, and it's just a damn shame to see somebody silenced when, this, in my opinion, is about the most important thing that Twitter can be used for. And when really kind of the chips are down and you need a platform, then it's kind of bullshit that petty semantics and politics can get in the way of that and inflict real harm on people.
Yeah, it's fucking...
Yeah, man, it's, my mom has been, fighting cancer for quite a while now. She has bone marrow cancer. It's just one of those things. It's just this constant thing that's always there. And you would think, I always feel like that, like McCoy in the Voyage Home, where he sees the lady there and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" "I have cancer." He's like, "You barbarians!" And he just gives her a pill and he walks away.
Yeah, exactly.
If only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. All right, so yeah, again, people, please donate whatever you can, and if you're broke, spread the word.
Yeah.
It ain't that hard. So there you go, man. Sucks. All right, let's wrap this up here. Thank you for watching and listening. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Throwdown Show and on Facebook. Links are available in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
Don't forget to donate. Don't forget to spread the word.
Yes. Chris Seeley.
Yeah, what Manny said.
Brian Manjoma.
I can't believe that people got so upset over a piece of artwork in a damn toilet.
Yes. Oh,
seriously.
Man. This is the world we live in, man. All right, and Brett Murdock.
Thanks ahead of time to everybody. I'm terrible at soft squishy feelings, but sport we've got a lot means a lot to us. So thank you ahead of time and already.
Yes. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Later.
Later, guys.
Later, people.